So the last time we spoke would have been July 16th in business class toilet on an aeroplane, and today is November 16th. So it's a bit of a mad one. I don't even know how many months is that. How many months is that carry for? July, August, September, October. So 4 months, and it's been a whirlwind since that moment. So when we was following the story, it was we dealt with camp the best way that we could with the lockdown. I was in the best shape of my life. I was the most prepared I could be. Fight Island was the most unreal experience me and the team have ever had together. And then the outcome was just not what was anticipated or expected. And when you lose and you've done everything right, it's a lot easier to take on the chin. It's not easy, but it's easier to take on the chin. I think everyone would have seen me go from being like locked up to training all the time to just, where's Molly? She's just out, and I was just finding myself again and my little identity and what to do without fighting, and what am I going to do? Because I still didn't know when I was ever going to fight again. Is Fight Island going to be a thing? I didn't have a visa for America, so it was a lot. I think from UFC London being cancelled to then going to Fight Island, it was like 7 to 8 months of training, and that was so intense on my mind, and so I was so zoned in to that. When I lost, it was just like I can go and be free because the lockdown's off now, and I got to go and see friends and family which I hadn't really seen for years, and it's the first time I've enjoyed myself to that extent, I think, since I probably went to uni. There's a lot of soul searching, it was just a really painful time trying to be masked by going out and eating and drinking, and I was never on my own. I was always in everyone else's company because I wasn't ready to deal with. A lot had happened to me personal life, and I'd finished the relationship for 4 years, then I'd lost the fight, and it was just, there was so much that I had to deal with, and it was really fucking hard, and it was like I couldn't train for a month after the fight because I'd done something to my knee, and then I just started training again, and then I dislocated my shoulder, which was like another 8 to 9 weeks before I could have full contact, and then I got COVID, and that was like a month before my lungs were back fully going, do you know what I mean? And then I just thought, right, there's no excuse now. There's no excuse, like the gyms are open, like you can go, oh no. And then when I've come back from COVID and I'm about to train, Joe Anderson has to shut the gyms in Liverpool, and we go into tier 3 lockdown, so I had to go over. I was lucky enough to have Liam McCourt and SBG Ireland, Dublin, and Gemma Garrett over in Ireland to like look after me so I could go over and train there. And it was like a little series of events, just like what is going on in my life, like why? And yeah, really mad one, Gary. But the last 6 weeks, my life's kind of come back together, and yeah, I finally got a fight again. And I don't know where it is, but I'm kind of I'm sure in my mind it's Fight Island again because I don't have a visa for America. So I'm sure that's where it is, but it's exciting. I don't think that last fight camp was the hardest prep, because as an amateur fighter or as an amateur boxer, it was learning on the job, and it was overtraining, under-eating, and UFC Fight Week, the PI was on the phone, and they'd put me on the scales like, you can have more food today. I was like, what? They was like, you can have 2 more meals today. So I was the most well-versed I could have ever been for that moment. I just think, like I said to you before, I couldn't get past her reach and her strength, and anyone watching can take what they want from that statement, but it was a lot to deal with. And when I walked to the cage, it was like there was this eerie feeling. Like when I woke up, our body clocks was all switched up because Abu Dhabi is like 6 hours ahead of us in England and 12 hours behind LA, Las Vegas time, and we was fighting on Las Vegas time. So we was trying to sleep and activate and deactivate our sleeping patterns to Vegas, and it was so hard. on the flip side of the coin, it was like, well, how fortunate are we that we're getting to do this? And if anyone were to see my social media, I was living my absolute best life, and I weren't taken away from the focus. Like, when I went to train, business was business, and when I was doing interviews, business was business, but I weren't in a position where I wasn't completely ready. So I was relaxed, do you know what I mean? But when I walked out, it was like, just something was off, and I can't even put my finger on it, but I know what's coming now. So it was like the UFC debut. It was kind of like pandemic debut, if you know what I mean. So I know what's coming, and I know what I have to achieve in order to get the win. And I know what's going to happen if I don't get the win. Do you know what I mean? Like, I sat there and I was just... If you hear the commentary and the commentators when I'm fighting, they love my style, they love the journey, and they was proud of the performance, because Molly McCann from a year ago would have got finished in that fight. Do you know what I mean? Because I would have let ego and heart be the key drive to that fight, and I would have stood there and probably just got... The ref would have been like, no, because I would have just kept coming and being picked off, and then I was being smart and waiting for my moment, and then there was times where I got taken down, negated the jiu-jitsu, negated the submission attempts. Like, I was proud of the performance at the end of it when I watched back, and I didn't make incorrect decisions. My decisions were correct. I couldn't get a flow, and I think what I learned was, from the off, I was beaten to her drum, so I couldn't get going. It was constantly, okay, right, be careful in case of this, and she hit really fucking hard, really hard. Like, she broke my nose, my eyes were fucked, and she kicked me to the knee for starters, and I was like, I couldn't sleep for 4 weeks, and it was like, if I wasn't taking the painkillers that they was giving me, or I wasn't drinking myself to sleep, I weren't sleeping. And I had to go and get 2 MRIs, because I was like, why is this hurting so much? Like, there's got to be something wrong. And I remember going to see the people in the Spire, and like, they was working through my leg, and I was just crying whilst they were working. I was like, there's not even, like, I haven't blew my MCL, like, what is it? But it was just impact on the knee, and it was just so painful. But like I say, everyone knows when I've gone through an adverse time, it builds for... It's like like a catapult for me, really, and a catalyst for me to go. And that's not to say that every camp I don't apply myself, because you more than ever will see what I'm like in camp, but I don't know. I just, like I say, I know what I have to do now for this next one. I play to the fans. I like to think I'm a bit of a show woman. You could just hear everything, and it was all just different. I didn't like it. I did not like it. But I've won a national title in front of 5 family members, and that was it. Do you know what I mean? Like, the UFC crew feel like family to me. I still have them all WhatsApping me. The day of the fight, I was upstairs with Awkward MMA, Gina Manzi, Laura Sanko, James Krause, Ellis in the back, and UFC people who work who do all the analytics and stuff. And we just sat in the pool, and they was just talking to me, and they was like, I just couldn't believe I was bumping heads with these people, do you know what I mean? And the people who worked for the UFC was like, oh, you're Meatball, we talk about you in LA, and in Vegas, sorry, and one worked in Washington DC, and they was like, yeah, we talk about you, and I was like, oh my God, it was so surreal. And they still, like, I was speaking to Clint, the man who runs the PI Nutrition, and literally yesterday, and it feels like a family. And I've had more fights in the UFC than I have any other promotion, it's mad to think I've had 5 fights in the UFC, and I've only had 13 pro fights. So it's still learning on the job, I think, but I'm not into no crowds. But if you read between the lines, I don't think Conor McGregor would ever fight without fans. And if you read between the lines, Dana White kind of said, right, look, we've got this new arena, Corona built, and we will have fans next year. So I'm reading between the lines and I'm putting it out there to the universe that I'm going to get me fans, do you know what I mean? And I'm going to get me people there. So the maddest one, Gary, is February 7th is my dad's birthday and February 6th I'm fighting on. So I just thought, like, if there was, like, I was like ringing my mum, like, will you come even to Dubai? And I'll come to Dubai after my fight and see you. And she was like, and I was like, why? And she's like, it's your dad's birthday the next day. I was like, well, that's all I need for this one, do you know what I mean? So it's the best birthday present I think that I could give. The rankings for the flyweight division kind of mean nothing because you can just have one next level performance and bump you back, do you know what I mean? Like, I was top 15, now I'm 18 in the world, and then I know a win will take me down maybe to top 15 again. The top 15, 10 to 15, everyone's just like a few points away from each other, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't even know where Gillian Roberts is in the top 15, and she's got as many finishes, she's got more finishes than anyone in the division, and more wins than Shevchenko, I think. So it's just like, I don't know, Gary, like, I don't know, but it's just, I'll fight, I'll get the win, and then we'll go from there. And we're working on a visa now for America, so I know next year I could just probably stay in Vegas and just be like, I'm here, I'm ready, like, do you know what I mean? So I think that's what...
You'll be Las Vegas, Chemaya. You'll be the Zap man.
Yeah, I think Graham Boylan messaged me like, Frank can go too. And I was like, listen, me and Frank will be in wherever. I'll always do my camps here and this is home, do you know what I mean? But I'm going to end up nicking one of the coaches and go, just come and stay with me for a few weeks. Like, why not? Do you know what I mean? Like, when I'm ready, I'm custom built to go. And the last 4 months has been the longest I've kind of had out of a routine of training. It was like 1 session a day when I'm used to 3. And my mind needed the rest. I've made so many friends in this like last 4 months who I think are going to be lifelong friends, and I've lost a few on the way as well, do you know what I mean? And yeah, I needed that break. I've had to sit and look at myself in the mirror, and people have been judging me or critiquing me like, come on Mal, get your ass in gear. Or it's just really easy to say when no one's walked a step in your shoe, do you know what I mean? But I always try to make everyone proud, and I just think what I've learned in the last year is I'm doing me and I'm not doing no one else no more. Like, I sacrificed a lot of happiness in a relationship or even to me coaches, do you know what I mean? Just like being a yes woman, and now I just think I'm just living life for me now, and not that I'll be disrespectful to anyone else, but I need to just, I love my life, do you know what I mean? But I was a bit of a people pleaser, I think, and it's just like, right, you need to please yourself, and you've got a few years left. I'll be done by 35, 36, do you know what I mean? And these will be the best years of my life. This year's been not a write-off, but there's not much positive to come out of it, do you know what I mean? But then I say that, but then I've got like 2 podcasts now at a coffee business. We'll have had a fight on fight, like, you have to switch it on its head, but next year everyone's looking to 2021, to the future. But normally I think I have so much anxiety about what's going to be ahead, and I really struggle in fight camps and nerves. And I've really learned the last few weeks to just live in today, which I've never done. Stop living in yesterday, live in the present, and there's so many things I could be worried about which isn't even happening. So that's been my biggest lesson. So today's the first day of fight camp. Started with this little interview. It'll be followed by striking for an hour, MMA grappling for an hour, and then an hour run tonight. I've got Chantel Cameron coming down again. She's been given a written form by MTK to say she's allowed to come, a working permit kind of thing. This is what we're after, what we have to do in the current pandemic. But Monday, Wednesday, Fridays always followed the same: striking, grappling, a run. Tuesday, Thursdays are sparring, sprints and weights. and a weekend will be full of filming for my podcast and for the other podcast that I've got, Brunch Club by Buelle. So yeah, I've got 12 weeks to absolutely think about nothing else other than business, and I'm so fucking ready. I'm so ready.